Hi everybody, welcome to the third part on learning to program with Roblox Studio. I'm Aaron from the Funtime Games group on Roblox. And today we're going to be looking at the second building block you would need to create any program you want to make. In the previous tutorial we went over the first example, which was sequence, and that was putting all your instructions for your program in the correct order, so everything is done in the right sequence. And this tutorial is going to go over selection. So selection is making a choice, right? You want to select between two things, and that's basically what the program is going to do also. You're going to choose between two or more things for your program to do. What does that mean? Okay, well, I'll have to throw a real life example out there that operates the same way as the computer would do. So say it was you were going outside and it's raining outside. Okay, what happens when you rain out? You bring your umbrella, right? So if it wasn't raining outside, you wouldn't bring your umbrella. Okay. So what if we wanted to write a program where we have a character and it's raining outside, and well, he wants to bring his umbrella. All right, great. So how do we do that? Well, first we have to know, is it raining outside? We have to check the conditions outside. And when you program, it's the same exact thing. You have to check, your program is going to check the conditions, or they call it conditionals, or the conditional inside the statement. And the statement is pretty much always in every language going to be if. And what comes after if is known as the conditional. And the conditional means it's going to check or evaluate to true or false, yes or no, basically. And like we did in previous examples of print, where we see print evaluates math, it goes 5 plus 4 and it'll evaluate 9. The conditional is going to evaluate for, or everything after this if in the conditional is going to evaluate for true or false. So let's see, how do we tell the computer it's raining outside? Well, we could make a variable, raining outside. And now it's like mentioned before, our empty container, we could assign with the equal sign, we can assign it a straight Boolean value, true. So now true value, true is instantly in raining outside. And true is what the conditional is looking for. And since it's going to evaluate, which means pull the value out of the variable, so raining outside, so if raining outside evaluates to true, so it is raining outside. Great. But now what? That comes, then do these things. So you write then, and you'll notice the end. And when you see this, it ends usually a trigger, or should trigger you to notice that what's going to happen is there's going to be a block statement. And what do I mean by block statement? Well, normally we were running simple one-line code like print bring an umbrella, say, if it's raining outside. So that's one statement. But whenever we operate with a conditional or a selection, we can make more than one statement between these two lines, the if, then, and the end. So what that means is we could say print try not to get wet. So on this selection, if it is raining outside, it's going to do both of these functions, or both of these statements in sequence, like we went over on their first tool. It's still going to follow a sequence, but the if is checking, should I do these statements or this statement block between everything between the if and the end here, or the if, the conditional, then, and the end. So this is a statement block, both things, and it could be more than one thing. It could be print put wet clothes in hamper when you get back. So we have three statements in our statement block in line 8, 9, and 10. Each line is a statement, but because they're all going to be performed, if this is true, we'll indent them to make sure we understand that these are all going to be performed on the if statement, and it's easy to read that way. And that's a basic program convention. But so that's why it looks how it does. But getting back to the conditional, we see that our if statement is going to be if raining outside is true and it's true, then do what? So it's going to print bring an umbrella, try not to get wet, and put wet clothes in hamper when you get back. And as I mentioned, it's going to do this in the order they appear. So what's going to happen is if we hit play, we're going to see that. Script up, we'll see bring an umbrella, try not to get wet, and put wet clothes in the hamper when I get back. So what happens if it's not raining outside? What happens then? Well, let's see. How would I do that? This would have to evaluate to false, right? So if it's not raining outside, then do I still do this? No, I don't. So all of these statements in this statement block only get executed, or the computer only looks at them and runs them when this conditional after the if statement evaluates to true. So to show you that, if I go to raining outside, the variable, and assign it false instead of true, so now it's not raining outside. What's going to happen? Well, the first thing is it's going to come to if. It's going to say if raining outside, and it's going to evaluate to false and say, oh, it's not raining outside. So I'm not going to bring an umbrella. I'm not going to do this. And we're going to hit play again, and you're going to see that what's going to happen is nothing, right? There's no other option given to do to perform when it's not raining outside. So if I want the character to do something, say when it's or a fictional character do something when it's not raining outside, how do I do that? And you do that with an else statement. Else. So else works just like if in a way, except it's the other side of the coin, where if the condition is false, then everything under the else statement or the else statement block is run, which means if I put print do not bring umbrella and another statement in the block of have a good time. So what's going to occur now? Raining, it's still not raining outside, so the condition is going to say is raining outside false. It's going to say yes, it's false. Then, well, don't do this. But else, if it's not true, which is not true is false, do these things. So what I'm going to look for now is if I hit play, I'm going to see that raining outside it's not raining outside, so we're going to do this stuff. So if I hit play, do not bring the umbrella, have a good time. So what's happening is it does not run any of the functions if it evaluates to false under the first if statement, or the first if. It will run everything under the else statement in sequential order. So what happens if the weather changes, right? Oh, now it's raining. I changed this value to true. The if statement's going to come to raining outside again, which we just changed to true. It's going to see and evaluate the condition, which evaluates to true. Then we are going to do bring an umbrella, print not to get wet, print this. And this is not going to get run because this only runs when it's false. So we're going to hit play, and you're going to see, oh, well, it's true now, and it just does these things. And the computer completely bypasses these. So it's a selection is basically choosing between which two things to do or which two or more things to do. So in here, our example, we've chosen between what to do if it's raining outside or it's not raining outside. So our computer has made a decision based on the condition of raining outside, what to do, and it will completely bypass and not do something if it's not raining outside, and vice versa. So that's the power of the if statement, and this is the second building block where you have the sequence, which we mentioned before, is it still does our functions in our statements in the same order you see them, as if you'd be writing them left to right, top to bottom, and it still executes in the same way. And then you have the choice between which one's going to occur. So yeah, on selection is the second building block, and the third building block we're going to go over in the next example, our next tutorial. And with those three things, in theory, you can build any program, any app you want to build if you understand the basics of these three things. And there's going to be more to the conditional. I'll go over how to evaluate more. There's way more than one way to evaluate the conditional inside here. Right? I don't want to confuse you right now, so right now we'll just be assigning variables to true or false, but we'll have future videos that go over the equal to operator and comparison operators that you can use in the conditional here to evaluate to true or false, and to determine, should I run this statement block, the top block, based on it raining outside, or should I run the bottom block based on it not raining outside. And what we'll do now is I'll show you an example in the studio. So you'll see how we can interact with objects in the studio using our new tool, the selection and if statements. So we'll just make we'll make a part. And as you see, I clicked part up here, and I've got my part shown under workspace as a child again. And what we'll do is we'll make it really tall. So we'll scale it up, and I'm going to rename it to just object. Okay? So we have a part named object in the workspace. And what I'm going to do is actually just comment this out. And as I explained it, I think in the last tutorial, when we comment it out, it means that the program or Roblox in Lua will not execute anything in here. It's basically invisible to it. It's not going to read it, not going to execute it. It's just for our notes. So the first real executed line in this script is going to be line 16 we're going to make right now. And that's going to be, we're going to assign the object to a variable. We're going to say, we're just going to call it object. And that variable is going to receive the object in the world. So to do that, we're going to say workspace, our game world, dot object, and that's going to reference this right here. It's object, and the parent is workspace. And so we're going to assign that to the object variable. And now that gives us access to these properties of object. So what I'm going to also do is I'm going to create a variable called is_anchored. And that initially is going to be set to true. So what I want to do now is if isAnchored, and I'm going to use there's two ways to do this. I'll do this the easy way, so you get to see your well, no, I'll just leave it. I'll leave it as this, so it's easier to understand this way. So if isAnchored, and isAnchored, it's going to be evaluated, right? So isAnchored is going to evaluate to true, right? We set it to true. So it's going to look in this evaluate means it's going to look in the variable, and it's going to look in the variable, and it's true. So it's going to be true. So then do what? Then we're going to, if it's true, we're going to set the object to anchored object, and since we have the variable as the object here, we can just say object.anchored, and it pops up right here. And we're going to set that to true. So initially what's going to occur now is in the workspace I've already set the, well, no I haven't. Okay, so I'll set it to true. I will set can collide to false on the object in the workspace here. So and I've set is anchored to true, and well, it's already true, so it's going to be doing something initially that it already is. It's not going to really change anything. It's going to set it to what it already was set to there. Okay, but now I want to add else, and else means if it's not anchored, if is anchored evaluates to false, then it's going to do object.anchored is set to false. I'm going to set it, or is going to set to false. So this is going to set the object anchored to false. So what is that going to do, right? What does that mean? Okay, right now it's set to true. So if I were to hit play now, it's going to just be sitting there, right? It's anchored. It's set in place. It's not, nothing's going to move it, right? And can't collide is off, so I can walk through it. So if I look at the object though, while the program is running, the studio is running, and I change anchored to false by clicking on the checkbox under its property, should drop away. It may not be how the studio operates, but if it does occur in the program, what would occur is it wouldn't be welded in place. So I guess that's one thing you can't play with in Studio. So what I'll do is stop right now. I'll go back to the script. And so what we're doing now though is we're going to do what we did just there, but when it's done in the code, what should occur is the object should fall, right? It's not anchored to anything, it's not colliding with the floor. So right now though, the first time we're going to run this, what's going to happen? It's set to true, it's going to evaluate, and this line's going to run. So if we run it, nothing's going to occur, right? Because it's anchored. It's going to set it to anchored, our variable. But now, if we want to change this to our condition to, oh, okay, the object's not going to be answered, we change this to false, and that's going to evaluate this to false, which means that this is going to be bypassed, the if statement. The else statement is not going to be bypassed. The object is going to receive false, and what should occur is the object falls through the map, right? It's not going to collide with the ground, and it's not anchored, so it's just going to free fall. What I'm going to add here though is a wait statement, because usually this occurs really quickly because there's a gap in time where the character takes to render, and we may not even see it drop. So I'm going to add a small wait, which we went over in our last tutorial. It makes the system wait for 3 seconds. Here is what this means, and I'm going to hit play. So what should occur now is it's going to drop. There it goes. So basically our script worked. It checked and evaluated for if it was anchored. It said no, it's not anchored, so not anchored, so this did not get run. But since it's not anchored, this did get run. It changed the anchored property of the object in the workspace, and it fell down. And when it falls down, you can see it's not here anymore, because once it hits a certain height, it gets deleted from the workspace automatically. So that was it for our lesson on the second major tool in your toolbox, so you can build any program you want to build.